Are we recording? Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. I've been meaning to create this video for a very long time, but I couldn't because of my schedule and, because of various reasons. But now I don't have time, so I want this information to get out there because I'm supposed to travel. I will be traveling back home. Anyway, guys, so today we'll be talking about applying for a critical skills employment permit. Now, this application is completely online. Department of Enterprise, Trade and Employment. They are the ones who are responsible for employment permits here in Ireland. If you don't know, I'll leave a link to the website in the description. Please do check it out because that is where you'll find all the information about general employment permits, critical employment permits, as well as the eligible occupation lists. And that reminds me that the ineligible list of occupations has changed last year in October 2021. They have updated the list, so they've added few more professions in it. Make sure that you are not you are not employed in a category that is mentioned there. So critical skills employment permit, Department of Enterprise, Trade and Employment. So I have this form and I'll just read out details from here. A lot of students are passing out this year. Now, if you don't know, I was recruiting students last year for a prize, and we managed to bring about 35-40 students from all over the world, mostly from India, obviously. Those students are now passing out and they are coming up with these questions. So that was the motivation behind creating this video. So my main goal here is to tell you what is on the form so that you know what is it that you need, because when you are job hunting or even when you have found a job, it's very possible, in fact, more than half of the times the HR won't have an idea about applying for a critical skills permit or any kind of permit, because most of the staff they'll be hiring will be either from the European Union or from Ireland. So my intention today is to tell you what is it that you need from your employer that will go on this form so that you can get started with your application and have your hiring manager or the HR you're dealing with on board with you. Now, before we begin, let me tell you the fee for critical skills employment permit. It is €1,000. It is issued for minimum 2 years. So if you have a job, your job offer should say that you're either offered a permanent position or a position that is more than 2 years, because you can't apply for a critical skills permit if your employment contract or if your job offer is for less than 2 years. In such cases, you will have to apply for general employment permit, even if what you're doing falls under critical skills employment permit or critical skills occupations. So bear that in mind. €1,000 is the fees for 2 years as of April 2022. Sorry, May 2022. It might change in the future. I have no idea about that. But if you're watching it this year, that is what the fee is. Now, another criteria for this is that you should have minimum remuneration of €32,000 annually. So your basic salary should be 32,000 or more. That's what the requirement is. And now if you go to the website of Department of Enterprise, Trade and Employment, enterprise.gov.ie, there are a lot of resources and a lot of information about how to apply. There's also an application form user guide, as well as there is an employment permit checklist to help you with it. Now I compared the information they have given on that employment permit checklist with the form, and it matches. So it makes your job very, very easy. Like I said before, the form is completely online. This is the EPOS website. This is the online portal that I was talking about earlier. It's pretty simple. If you're applying for critical skills visa, just look up for your critical skills employment permit application. The only thing you have to remember, if your employer is a trusted partner or a standard employer. Now, trusted partners are nothing but they have these accounts with Department of Enterprise, like a membership, so their application processing is a bit faster. I haven't really seen that. I have known people from working for both trusted partners and standard employer. They both can take anywhere between 6 to 12 weeks in what I've seen in the last year. If you're already in the country, if you're a student who has passed out, you would be on a stamp 1G visa. That is your third level program. So it does not mean that you have to apply for a work permit before you start working. You can start working and then on the side you can process your application, because it's a long process. Like I said, it will take like I don't know, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks. So let us see what is it that you're going to need from your employer. Looking at the part 1 of the critical skills employment permit form, employer registered number, company name registered number, business name registered number. Now these things you will easily find on your payslip as well. If the person has made offer is an employment, made the offer of employment is a charity, please supply the charity number. I think this can go as NA. If the person who has made the offer of employment is an industrial provident, NA, not applicable. Is the person who has made the offer of employment a limited company? Yes, no, it would be yes, I think, in most of the cases. Registered name of the company, business, trading name. Anyway, this section would have to be filled by your HR or whoever is helping with your application in your company. Company business address, that's an easy one. Country, telephone number, mobile phone number, email address, website of the company. Now, look at this point. This is very important and it is scrutinized. Number of EEA and or Swiss nationals, including Irish, currently employed by the person who has made the offer of employment. So what is the number of European employees in that company? That would go here. And then the next one is number of non-EA nationals currently employed by the person who has made the employment offer. That would be the number of non-European employees in the company. Now the criteria here is that your employer can't have more than 50% of employees, non-European employees. So if the number is less than that, you are well and good. If they have hired more than 50% non-Europeans, then it's bad news. Please provide the details of person within the company who is authorized to deal with any queries arising from this application. This would either be your hiring manager or your HR or whoever is designated to deal with these questions. Their title, name, position held in the company, phone number, email address. This information is very important because at the end you have to sign the form, so that person's signature will also be on this form. Part 2. So that's it. So that was part 1. That was all the details that you would need from your employer. It's not that much actually. It's a pretty simple form if you ask me. So if you land the right job, the rest of the things are pretty easy in my opinion. Now let us look at the part 2 of this form. That is details of foreign national. Passport number, expiry date, national of India, England, wherever. Title, first name, middle name, date, sex, current address, telephone number, mobile number, PPS number. If you are already in the country, you will have to fill in your PPS number. Is the foreign national currently in the state? Say yes or no. It will be yes if you were a student. Highest level of qualification. Has the foreign national previously made an application for asylum in the state? 99% the answer would be no. There are a couple more questions like that. So I'll go down to, is the foreign national currently employed in the state? You have to, if you have ever held even a part-time job, your answer here would be yes. Has the foreign national been employed? Okay. Worked part-time on stamp to student visa. That is what you will put in there. Is the foreign national married to or in a civil partnership with a European or Irish national? No. Maybe yes. I don't know what you're going to put in there. All right. So let's move to part 3 now. Part 3 is details of redundancy. This is again will be filled by your manager or your hiring manager or the HR in the company. Have any employees or person who has made the offer of employment, the connected person or relevant person has been made redundant in the employment that is subject to this employment permit in the last 6 months. That means, are you filling in a place that was made vacant by a person who was also holding a critical an employment permit for the same position? I'm not sure why they want to know it, but that's what it is. So they'll be able to answer it. That's the part. So that's part 3. Part 4 is now details of employment. You can fill in these details yourself, or you can have your hiring manager or the HR to fill it. Title of the job. Now, from what I've seen, things get very easy if your job title is mentioned on the occupations list, the critical skills occupations list. There are a lot of job titles that are not mentioned there, but if you are someone who is lucky enough to have one of those job titles, your application would be very easy, because then you have set the precedence for the processing officer to look at your application in that particular way. If your job title is something vague, like member of technical staff, that could mean anything, and then it will be scrutinized further. Title of the job: is the application in relation to health professional if you're a doctor or a nurse? Otherwise it's a no. Regulatory body if you are working in the health sector, so that would be NA in your case if you are not a doctor or a nurse or some other health professional. Place at which the employment concern is to be carried: employment address, business name. Proposed period of employment permit in months, proposed start date. Proposed period of employment permit in months should be 2 years. That's what I told you earlier, that these permits are given for 2 years. If it's less than 2 years, they might ask you to apply for a general permit. So even if your job offer or your employment contract mentions that you have a permanent position, just put in 24 hours, because again, this is an online form, and the maximum option you can go there is 24, and you can't type anything else other than 24 there. Proposed start date. Now this is a bit confusing. If you've already started working, give a date in the future, and in a supporting letter mention that you have already started working in the company because you have stamp 1G permission, and that now you want to apply for a critical skills employment permit. So you have mentioned the date for the sake of the application, because you couldn't enter a date from the past, because the portal won't allow you to do that. So that's how you should go about it. That gets accepted. I have seen it myself. So yeah. What are the main functions of this job? Please detail the qualifications, skills, knowledge, experience required. Please detail the relevant qualifications, skills, knowledge, experience of the foreign national. Now, these are the things that would have been advertised when you applied for the job. If you are from a technical background like software development or something like that, it's going to be pretty easy, because your job would have these technical things listed. Now, there is a little gray area here. Certain jobs like business analysts, or there are people from backgrounds like help desk specialists. Their job description is not technical, so it's a bit confusing for those people whether they can apply for critical skills permit or not. So it's kind of a hit and miss. You might fall in the category of general employment permit and not critical skills employment permit if you don't deal with any technology as part of your day-to-day job. So I'm just going to show you a little example of someone who works in IT, which was from a successful application. Okay, moving on. Did you use an agent or recruitment agency? Yes, no, whatever. Part 5, details of remuneration. So this is where you'll be giving the details about your salary. Like I told you before, it has to be minimum 32,000. So you'll be giving your annual salary, converting it into weekly, and then convert it into hourly rate of pay. Are there deductions from the gross weekly salary? You'll be able to answer that when you have the job. Are payments in respect to health insurance part of the remuneration package? Whether your company pays for your health insurance or you pay it, that will be on your salary slip, so you can put in that detail as well. Number of hours of work per week. Now, number of hours should be 39 according to the employment checklist that they've given. However, it's not always that you'll be offered a 39 or 40-hour job. You might even be offered a 35 or a 37.5-hour job. Now, if you're working for, let's say, a big company that has just 4 days working policy, and if you work for 8 hours a day, that would be only be 32 hours a week. So even if that happens, convert your working hours to 39 and then adjust your hourly rate of pay, or calculate your hourly rate of pay according to that and mention it on the form. There's a 90% chance that you would have an offer letter for 37.5 hours. So that is something that you have to keep an eye on. So once this is done, all you have to do is download this form. You click on submit, you download the form, and you print the pages where you have to sign. Print those pages, put your signature on it, send it to your HR or whoever the person is. They have to sign it. Then you scan the documents, the scanned page, the signed pages, upload them on the application portal. And once you do that, you have to pay the fee by your credit card or debit card, which is 1,000 euros. Now, who's going to pay the fee? Whether it'll be you or your employer. If it's a big company who has been dealing with employment permits, they would be happy to pay for your employment permit. If it's a small company that is not very experienced in all of this, take the initiative to tell them yourself that you will manage the fee, because a lot of times HR are a bit skeptical about this. They think that they have to pay you 32,000 salary as well, plus they have to pay another 1,000 for your critical skills employment permit. So so just be forward about it and tell them yourself that you will manage the fee yourself. So once you have uploaded a signed form, you have paid the fees, now you have to upload the supporting documents. I am just going to list those supporting documents right here. These have to be uploaded electronically on the portal itself. Now once you upload it, you submit it, you are given a reference number which you can use later when you want to check the status of your application. Now, like I mentioned, it takes about 2 months, or that's what I've seen in last year or so. Before that, it was taking way longer than that. There's also a way of checking the processing date. So if you have filled your form today, like on 13th of May, you can check which forms from which dates are currently in process. So that's it, guys. That's all I want to tell you. I hope this helps you. I hope all the best. I don't know what to say. Bye bye.